Experts by experience. Real conversations, real people, real stories.
Good afternoon, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Experts by Experience. You're probably wondering who I am. I'm Jess. I'm usually the producer on this podcast, but today I'm jumping in to have a really good conversation with Ryan and Annette. So today's conversation centres on the parental experience of raising neurodiverse children, particularly when systems fail to recognise needs early. We'll explore how unaddressed needs can ripple into education struggles, mental health challenges, and even contact with the criminal justice system, and how gaps in education, safeguarding, and community support affects entire families. So welcome, Ryan. Welcome, Annette. Thank you for joining us today. So I guess to start, for listeners who are new to your guys' stories, could you share a little bit about who you are and the experiences that shaped your journey into this conversation today?
So I was born in Birmingham, grew up with strict parents, so that isolated me from peer groups. I was dismissed from my first job because I had no social skills. I observed a lot, but I was unable to process situations, obviously due to being isolated from, like I said, young people. I then transferred to London at the age of 23, and then I was a single parent at the age of 26. So again, not really sort of having that time to grow up in the adult world, so to speak. 3 children, and each of them there's a 5-year gap. So obviously different situations at different times. And yeah, just basically trying to navigate the educational system. First of all, without any knowledge, but knowing and picking up more with Ryan, not with my older son. But there were traits and signs there with my older son, but I was not aware of them. With Ryan, I was aware, but only because there's certain members of the family who have got special needs. So it's like I wasn't sure if, it was in the genes or if, it was something that just followed down from the family. So yeah, and with my daughter, again, now I know girls mask really, really well. So her traits were picked up very later in life.
Yeah,
So
nice. And yourself, Ryan?
Yeah, so I'm obviously the second born, middle child out of the 3 of us, probably the most chaotic. And I guess, thinking about what Mum said about like noticing like the signs of like additional needs and stuff like that. That's probably why they came through like quite loudly at different points in life. So yeah, I think from my side of things, obviously now being older and kind of understanding a bit more about like the family dynamics, I kind of understand that where Mum had quite a difficult childhood, and I guess there's a lot of somewhat dysfunctionality on both sides of the family that's then kind of been passed down to like our generation, and we've just had to navigate as best as possible. But yeah, I guess something within like the system, lots of different systems, I guess when parents or like don't really know how to navigate something or like what's going on, I guess there's a reliance on the system to kind of do the right thing by the young person. And quite often, for the 3 of us, to be fair, we maybe experienced different things where, there wasn't that support. Like Mum would sort of show up, but maybe not have the knowledge of how to do certain things. And yeah, I guess on my side, that's kind of how I kind of ended up going through certain situations. And yeah, like ultimately now being on the other end of things and recognizing that pattern, that's kind of where like the project's come from, I guess. Yeah.
Definitely. Perfect. Thank you. And as you were saying, kind of growing up, each of your siblings had different needs that went unrecognized for a while. So what did that look like and how did that feel kind of within the family dynamic?
Yeah, I think within the family dynamic, I guess because there was a lot of like normalization of like certain behaviors, a lot of masking and that type of stuff, like we didn't really know any different in terms of behaviors. So if if I'm just like really dysregulated one day and there's just a lot of like shouting, conflict and that type of stuff, that would just be a normal behavior like that happens in the house. And I think, yeah, I guess because those behaviors were normalized, we didn't really sort of think about, well, actually what's going on here.
Yeah.
And those behaviors would kind of present themselves in different ways with each of my siblings. And then obviously where mum didn't really get much support, just kind of, I mean, yeah, like had a lot of difficulties within like her relationship with my dad. So I didn't really get too much support within the family home. And would kind of be spread quite thin between the three of us. So that in itself then, you know,
It's not easy.
yeah, at all. Especially when we all got our own needs and all that sort of stuff. So naturally, because of that, yeah, at times we'd lose out and that type of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So you've kind of spoken a lot about that system with it kind of half working sometimes, not working all the times. I think that's what we see a lot, right? That it's kind of like, it's that same saying, isn't it? That one shoe doesn't fit all. And it's kind of, even if you do have a system that's working amazingly well for someone, it's not going to be working well for somebody else. So can you talk us through those moments where those were different for you?
Yeah. Me and mum had a bit of a conversation like on this, just kind of reflecting on like different things that have gone on over the years. And I think, yeah, we kind of came up with our own examples just through reflecting. So one thing that kind of stood out for me for like the not working side of things was like maybe going to people in different professional settings as a young person or like a young adult and kind of saying like, I feel like something's not quite right here, or like I need a bit of help or and support. And yeah, just kind of being dismissed. So like with one of my tutors in the second college that I went to, I kind of went to them and said, oh, like I feel like I've got maybe some mental health things going on and that type of stuff. And he was just like, you can't have any mental health things going on because you're not on medication like my wife. And I was just a bit like, what the hell are you talking about? But naturally he's a professional, right? So you kind of trust that word. But yeah, you then get dismissed, you don't get the support, and that can cause like a lot of issues. So yeah, that's an example of it not working. I don't know if you want to.
You know, you spoke about yourself, so I'll speak about Kieran. Basically, he was in gifted and talented. In fact, three of them were gifted and talented. But at school, the third school that he went to, he was described as being lazy, disruptive, challenging, you know, the usual labelling. And I was always down at the school with him and trying to understand, well, you know, what is actually going on. I'd say, you know, well, give him more work because obviously he needs stretching. If he's finishing his work too early. So it's like, well, if he's finishing his work too early, then why are you not giving him more work? And then there was a teacher who actually came to me and she said, oh, she was talking to another teacher and this teacher was describing my son and saying how he was rude, disruptive, what's not. And then she realised that this teacher was talking about my son and she was like, you can't be talking about the same person because that is not how he comes across. And she did defend him and she actually came and she told me, you know, that this is what's been said about your son. And I was quite, you know, taken aback because it's like, well, if these things are going on, why is nobody coming to me and talking to me as a parent? But she did, and I did go down to the school. It wasn't really resolved as such. You know, my son said he just didn't like the school at all. So it's one of those.
It's difficult, isn't it? And I think it goes back to that thing as well that you can have two teachers that have a completely different perception on someone and a completely different understanding of how subjects obviously play a matter into that as well, right? If it's something if you're an expressionate person, maybe drama is going to be more your scene than sitting in a maths class, for example.
Yeah.
But I think there is such power in how within the education system,
Yeah.
you communicate with
Yeah.
young people. Like,
Exactly.
even for myself, I think back to school and there's like, I could name one teacher that was the most amazing teacher in the world to me, like
Yeah.
continuously checked in. And then I could name another teacher that, even those self-doubts now when you're kind of going into meetings or you're going into that professional mind, when you're like, that still rings in the back of your head of someone that had maybe said something
Yeah.
and it sticks with you.
And it did stick with him.
And I think that's such a big
Yeah.
thing, especially when it comes to those like extra needs and those requirements, that it is that, I think especially for young men, it's that label, isn't it, of like, you're just the naughty kid,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
put him in the corner,
Yeah.
don't worry about it. But
Yeah.
it's actually like, let's start looking into
The reasons why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it was I got text messages, I got phone calls, and this is more for Ryan. And it's like, and I'm down at the school. I even went down and sat in one of his lessons with the rest of the students. Do you remember that?
Of course I remember.
I sat there.
You don't
I
have
think-
those things, don't you?
Yeah, I sat there. The class was so well behaved, and it's like, I can't see, and I don't see what the problem is or the issue is.
Yeah.
You know, what is it? We need to talk to one another to understand what is actually going on with Ryan, and also with regards to the actual system themselves. Me asking questions, it's like, actually you're the problem because you're the parent.
Mm.
And it's like,
It's such a big one that it's kind of, you're bringing them into our space. So why haven't you sorted this out at home? Or
Yeah.
why has this not happened?
Yeah.
But sometimes we just don't have the knowledge, or
this is it. I didn't have the knowledge.
Yeah.
I had no idea. You know, so yeah.
definitely. Well, I guess that kind of leads us on to the next question of, you were talking about, Annette, from your point of view, that kind of huge emotional load that takes, kind of navigating the school systems, different professionals, and your own challenges. Like, as Ryan was saying, having 3 children that had all 3 completely different needs, trying to manage that's
Yeah.
never easy. Superwoman, some might say. But what support do you wish did exist for parents at the time?
I think at the time when because I did go to the school, I went to the doctors. The school did an assessment with Ryan, said, no, he's absolutely fine. But I could see so many different things, and it's like, it just didn't stack up for me.
Mum's intuition.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Um,
the laces and stuff like that.
Yeah, tying laces, holding his knife and fork, thinking that his thought process was slower, but he was processing things. That's basically, but to them, he was lazy. He wasn't doing what he should be doing. And when I went, I felt that I wasn't being heard. My reasons weren't validated. I felt judged. And then I started to question myself, because it's like, well, is it me? You know, because if teachers are not listening, they're saying he's fine. Doctors are saying, no, there's no problems. Then it must be me. And then it's like, I feel as if I'm failing my children.
Yeah.
You know, so that would lead me to feel stressed, get anxious. It's like, well, I'm trying really hard to emotionally support to the children, and they're all at different stages, because there's a 5-year gap as well, and one young lady, one girl. So, you know, you sit and think, how do I provide that support without any professional backup?
Yeah, definitely.
So that was a struggle. Yeah, it was. I just didn't know how to navigate the educational system. Yeah.
So if there could be one thing now that was kind of implemented into those systems, would it honestly just be having someone that you can soundboard off and have those conversations? That, like, would that be your main thing, or would it be?
It would be, you know, the professionals taking parents seriously, you know, about their concerns. If I've got a concern or parents got a concern, just listen and don't be dismissive.
Yeah.
You know, take it on board, and maybe even, you know, professionals advocate on the parents' behalf, because the educational system, for me anyway, I didn't understand it, but then I was too scared to ask questions or challenge, because then you'd be made to feel that you're the problem, or the problem is in the home. But yet still your children are still being described as, well, they've come from a decent family, but they're disruptive in class. And it's like, well, ask the questions why. I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. I don't know the traits. Maybe even teachers being aware of being trauma-informed, being aware of, you know, the traits of autism, ADHD, all those special needs, just being aware
Definitely.
so they can pick up those traits and signs.
And I think even just to add to that, because like obviously now, like I'm a qualified teacher and do a lot of work with young people in different I guess different settings. And And like a lot of professionals get this training that mum's talking about, but whether they implement it or not is a different. And I think if there isn't like another professional or someone that understands it to actually hold them accountable, that's when it can all kind of fall apart.
Definitely.
And there's that kind of power imbalance kind of thing. And so I think, 3 or 4 times mum had sort of asked for an assessment to be done for me, dismissed, whatever. So she paid privately for me to get my assessment done, and like, my results were just mad. So
That sounds probably like a weird relief, right, for both of you. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people nowadays say that's not like before. I think when people used to get a diagnosis, whatever that looked like, it felt a certain type of way. But now it's actually more of a relief to be like, I knew there was a reason.
Yeah. And I think like the way that I see it, a lot of people can sometimes see, I guess, a diagnosis as almost like limiting. But for me, it was answers as to how I can like cope, form new strategies and all that sort of stuff. And I've been able to do that over the years to, I guess, where I am now.
I think it identifies strengths as well, right? Like I think, as you said, a lot of people look at a diagnosis as a limitation, but it's actually like you'll be able to do things that I would never even be able to think of doing. My brain just doesn't work like that. It's just there's strengths to both, and I think that's what's I've noticed anyway. That is that nice switch that seems to have changed recently. Like whether it continues, who knows? Let's hope so. That's why we have these conversations, right? But I think we're slowly getting to a place where that diagnosis is actually like, okay, this is my superpower now. Let me run with it.
That's literally, and like I was saying to mum, I always think about there's a lady that I was sort of referred to when I got my diagnosis. And I only spent, so this was when again I was in my second college, which I eventually got kicked out of, but that's another story. And I only spent like 2 or 3 hours with her, but like that time with her, literally like it was life changing. Like, we were doing like work together, and she was like, oh yeah, like, write this down, or I'd ask her like, should I do this or should I? And I guess when you've sort of been told, all these ideas are bad, or you're doing so much bad stuff in class, mum's getting called all the time, and it's just stress. Just having one professional that kind of believes in you and stuff like that, especially for that little amount of time. She probably don't even remember who I am. Do you know what I mean? But on my side, it was like, oh, actually, if I can get the same support at uni, I can get out of London, hopefully, like, no more trouble, blah, 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 blah. And, like, it actually gives you a bit of hope for the future. And, mum just sort of continuously advocating and all that sort of stuff is, I guess, the sole reason why I was able to make that transition into further places.
Definitely. I think that idea of you're saying about having that one person is so key as well. I think at the moment, especially in the world we're living in, that everything's changing all the time. I think sometimes, even from me speaking as a professional, you sit there and think, what am I going to be able to do? I'm one person. Like, I have the right intentions, but there's only so much I can do. But it is actually what you're saying there, Ryan. Like, you only need one person to give you the time of day to make the changes you need to make. So if we have more of those one people, then we're going to fly. So yeah, definitely. I guess that leads quite nicely on to like what you were talking about, your different lived experiences there, Ryan, that you kind of went through, the gaps, the support, the challenges, has led to obviously your creation of EYC that I know you on a separate podcast, please listen, that Marion and yourself had kind of shaped its mission. So did you kind of want to go in a little bit about how this kind of all ties in together?
Yeah. It's kind of funny because it actually, do you remember the email that I sent you when I was like proper upset when I was living in Leicester? I was just, so sometimes like when I used to get, this was when I was having a lot of mental health challenges, which was actually off the back of my second college exclusion. I was struggling quite a lot when I was about 24. So sometimes I just email mum like reflections of life, but just like emotions outpouring and all this sort of stuff, very uncontained.
So nice you guys have that relationship. You could do that. I mean, that's such a credit to you, Annette, that Ryan feels like he could have that conversation.
Yeah, it's definitely hard for you, but needed, because I guess
The mum.
I hear it, like, because I guess on the flip side, like, if you haven't got that space, and I definitely know that for myself, a lot of like friends that I've maybe grown up with, family, I guess we're all quite similar in some ways. So I definitely know if mum wasn't the person that she is, then I'd be cooked. Like it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be good. So I think, yeah, in that email, I basically said something about me, my brother and sister, sort of the reason why we've kind of chose to go into frontline, I guess, roles and people facing kind of roles, is because I guess a lot of the drama that we've kind of grown up around and the family dynamics that we've grown up within has kind of influenced us to go towards that. But I was saying it from quite an upset point of view. So when I kind of flipped it on its head, like 5 years later, yeah, basically what we've realized is that we're all very passionate about helping people. And obviously like, yeah, my work separately, a lot of the time it's been with like at-risk young people. Now I work with young people in the criminal justice system for Westminster Council. So, and then obviously my siblings do what they do. So yeah, we just thought, why don't we just tie it all together? And then we thought a little bit wider about other colleagues and professionals that might be interested. So we've kind of pulled them in and we've got a bit of a team going now. Some young people volunteer for us as well. So we're kind of building things. But yeah, ultimately I think where we're at now is we specialize in social justice and kind of create bespoke, I guess, projects or maybe do guest talks, workshops and that type of stuff to help educate professionals and also work with young people that are kind of experiencing things that, yeah, we maybe experienced when we were growing up. And Mum's met a lot of the young people now, so which is really nice as well. But yeah, that's basically where we're at with UIC at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's so powerful as well to change what was once a negative experience for you into something so powerful that's going to help so many other people. I think it takes real strength to change something. A lot of people go, well, I can't be bothered anymore then if that's what's going to happen, forget it. To change that to something good is amazing. So yeah, well done to both of you. I guess final question, wrapping up. I could talk for days about this topic. It's the worst thing about short podcasts, but for families, professionals, what is one key message or a call to action that you guys would want them to take away from what you guys have spoken about today?
I think from a parent's point of view is don't be afraid to ask questions, challenge the school systems, and just ensure that you listen to your child, because that sometimes as parents we think, the child don't know what they're talking about. But, they say each one teach one, and I've learnt a lot from all three of my children. I've learnt a lot, and I've learnt a lot about myself, not just, with them. So it's just ensure that your child is being heard and they're being supported, and just challenge the school systems. So yeah, that's my thing.
I think for me, it's this whole thing around community. I think quite often it's quite easy to like see, if somebody's really struggling, a young person especially, it's really easy to see that as someone else's problem. If it's not too loud within your classroom or, in the prison that you're supporting them in, or the mental health service or whatever, it's someone else's problem in it. But for me, and I think, yeah, thinking about like how Mum supports multiple people, like many people in the family, people that have gone through way worse than me, will often look at Mum as like the safe space. Many friends will look at Mum as the safe space. Like there's no judgment, there's no, but it's not as if like Mum is their parent. Mum is that like, yeah, Mum is a part of that like community that should be looking after, one another. And I think quite often within society where we live in such a disjointed world almost, people often do kind of look after their own quite often. And you can understand why they do that. But also if you do that, then, that problem, or yeah, viewed as like a problem, that issue, will then become somebody else's. And if it's not dealt with, you never know where that problem is going to turn up. So you might as well just help and support. And in turn, that kind of ripple effect will then go through the community. And yeah, hopefully we'll all be more supportive of one another.
Yeah. Definitely. I think we'll leave it there, guys. I think that was a powerful kind of mic drop moment there. And thank you guys for your time today. Really appreciate it. And thank you for everyone listening.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Experts by Experience is brought to you by Catch 22. For more episodes, visit www.catch22.com. catch-22.org.uk.